Rocket, wanted on over 50 charges of vehicular theft and escape from lockup.
What the hell?
Groot has been traveling recently as Rocket's personal houseplant / muscle.
Hello, welcome to What the Flick. Matt, Alonzo, I am Groot.
No.
We're gonna do I want to be Groot. He's so multi-purpose. Yes. Christy Lemire, perhaps you've heard of me, and we're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. It is cheeky. Who wants to describe it?
So Guardians of the Galaxy is a story about Peter Quill, who calls himself Star-Lord, who is a mercenary kind of treasure hunter. And it's also a story about Gamora, who is the daughter of Thanos, who wants to basically kill everyone in the galaxy. It's also the story of a raccoon that talks and is named Rocket, and a guy named Drax the Destroyer, who wants to kill Gamora's father and a bunch of other people. And also a talking tree who says only, I am Groot. Okay. Let's watch the trailer.
Peter Jason Quill. He's also known as Star-Lord.
Who calls him that?
Himself, mostly. He's wanted largely on charges of minor assault, public intoxication, and fraud.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know how this machine worked. Hey, that's mine. You son of a... Hey, take those headphones off right now!
They call themselves the Guardians of the Galaxy.
What a bunch of a-holes.
So you guys are more comic-y than I am. I had never read these comics.
Me neither. In fact, it wasn't until last week that I realized that this was not the 70s Guardians of the Galaxy. I was thinking of the old one. There's a whole other
Even though
Guardians of
Yondu
the Galaxy.
shows up in this, because Yondu was in that.
Right, but like
I don't know what that even is.
Okay. Yeah. So this was all new to me too. This movie feels like a digression in a lot of ways, in that it's not one of the big, iconic Marvel characters, and that it has kind of this sort of goofy, freewheeling aspect to it. It's not. It doesn't feel like the Iron Man or the Captain America or Thor movies have.
Although those movies, they have moments of lighthearted humor, right? Iron Man is the first Iron Man, at least, is very funny because Robert Downey Jr. is just so charismatic. Right? And then in the Avengers movies, you have the interplay between him and Hulk, whatever. But this is just like wacko, in great fun ways.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, the other ones aren't humorless, but this one is like.
I like this movie a lot. I've been reading this comic for a while, and I like this particular comic. But I will say to people that are out there that if you've not watched any of the Marvel movies, that's okay here, because it doesn't have anything to do with that. Like, okay, maybe it's tangentially related to some of them, and it's clearly setting up some stuff that has come up in some of the other movies. None of that matters. This is a movie that is about a bunch of characters, and Dave White nails it. Like, it really is about a characters, in his review, he talks about that share grief. And he's absolutely right. That's what brings them kind of, or at least that's loss and grief, and that's kind of what brings them, if not together, but holds them together. And I liked this movie. It's a lot of fun. It's very goofy. It kind of makes me think of, it's almost, if you had a movie that's kind of entirely about Han Solo and kind of that world he lives in, or Firefly a little bit. Like, there's a little bit of Firefly in
the
this.
irreverence of the tone. But the whole time I was watching it, and again, I knew nothing going into it. I'm like, this is Star Wars, right? It is exactly Star Wars in terms of just, they are this ragtag band, right? And so if we're gonna extrapolate whatever, Peter Quill is, for better or for worse, he's Luke, right? I mean, Gamora is, no, but here's why. Gamora is Leia because she's like the daughter of, royalty, a powerful man. I think Rocket is Han Solo.
Oh, absolutely. No, Rocket and Groot are definitely Han and Chewie.
Groot is Chewbacca, although I've also seen the analogy that they are R2-D2 and C3PO. No, they are R2-D2 and C3PO. But I feel like there's so much of like the swagger in Rocket, and that is like Han Solo. Go ahead.
No, it's funny. I was reminded how the first time I saw Avengers, I remember for about the first 15 minutes thinking, what is going on here? Like that, I remember there's like the first big sort of action sequence is really kind of clumsily put together, and then it gets great. And this movie, at first, I kind of thought, this movie is not as clever as it thinks it is. And then after I was like, okay, maybe it is, you know. But it took me a while to kind of get into it. I'm not a big fan of James Gunn, the director and co-writer here.
I like Super.
I hated Super.
Oh.
I didn't see Slither, which I hear is fun.
Me neither.
But this did grow on me. I will say that I think that because it is so fun and because the character interplay is so entertaining, I suspect going to be, people are going to overpraise this movie, and it's fine and it's fun and it's terrific, but it is what it is and not much more, I think.
I'm the opposite of you in that I loved it off the top. I thought it was just energetic and surprising, and the use of music is so inspired. Great 70s soundtrack, a great bad 70s pop hits. And then for me, it kind of wears on me as it goes along because it's a little overlong and a little overstuffed, and the action sequences are a little just too much, maybe. Maybe they go on a bit too long, and there's so much destruction. Yes, I know all these movies have destruction, but for me, I'm like, okay, we can wrap this up now. After an hour
it could
and
be
40.
a little tighter. Like you could probably cut. This movie could be a little sharper. I think it does a good job with the characters and drawing the characters, and gets some surprising emotion that I think you wouldn't expect out of a movie like this. At the very beginning, towards the end, there's a scene in the middle where they've all been drinking in this bar, and Rocket has this quick couple of lines that I found actually kind of moving. I think they do a good job establishing who these characters are, and the interplay between them is really fun. And you're kind of like, there's so much charm and there's so much joy in the filmmaking here that you're kind of willing to overlook some of the narrative flaws. Like, it does get a little overwhelming, and some of the stuff, if you really start thinking about it, like, it doesn't make all that much sense, and that's fine.
Makes sense now?
Well, but again, like, it's. There are a lot of things that exist just to kind of look cool, like there's, with the Yondu scene, versus a bunch of these, kind of faceless thugs that.
Oh, right.
Right, like that's a really cool scene. Doesn't really drive anything towards the story. That's fine. Again, like there's so much fun stuff going on here. You're kind of You're willing to overlook the things
he
that
is sort of reveling in what can we do with these characters and in this universe. And yeah, sometimes it maybe feels a little padded, but it always feels like people are having a good time with this. And the 5 principal cast members are terrific, and they interplay really well. Apparently, Bradley Cooper is the voice of Rocket, but Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother, who plays one of the main Confederates to Michael Rooker, he's credited as on-set Rocket. So I guess he actually wore the ping pong balls.
I love the casting of Bradley Cooper, and you do hear some traces of his voice here and there, but I think if you didn't know it was Bradley Cooper, you wouldn't know it was Bradley Cooper, and that's just a testament to how far he's come in the last several years from distancing himself from that kind of slick, pretty boy. He's done so much since then. I love the running joke that only he can understand Groot. Groot is beautiful. He reminded me of a creature from a Guillermo del Toro movie, just in the twistedness and the texture of it, and he can reinvent himself in many different ways. That was all cool.
And it's a measure of how well the CGI works, because there's a real weight and presence to those characters.
Yeah, they do fit together, even though they're totally different sizes and shapes and all that.
And the fact that they're representing things in nature, which is really hard to pull off in CG and not look super fake and Uncanny Valley-ish.
Also, what a great year Chris Pratt is having.
Yes.
Between this and the Lego movie.
Oh, right.
Right, he's Emmett.
I always forget.
Nick came with me, and he's sitting in my lap. I'm like, that guy right there, that's the voice of Emmett. Totally did not get it. I should mention, so Nick's almost 5. There's some really heavy emotional stuff in the beginning, as you mentioned. There was a death at the beginning. A lot of the violence is big, spectacular violence. He was not scared. Was Gabe affected at all?
My 10-year-old thinks that this is the movie of the year. Now granted, I haven't asked him specifically this in the Lego movie, but he loved this movie. So I think for the most part, kids are going to really be into this. I think that the violence that's in this is very cartoony.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there are some emotionally intense moments, and Gabe did say, like, oh, there were some sad parts in it. And, I think that's one of the things the movie does well, is that it's not all just jokes and goofiness. Like, there is a level of emotion to this movie, and I think that that's part of what really makes it work.
Yeah.
I definitely file it under now that we got the origin story out of the way, like now what? What do you got next? I am looking forward to seeing these characters kind of unfettered by the mechanics of first movie and see what they do in second movie.
We look forward to their Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
So what are our numbers then, Matt Atridy?
What did I say? 8?
You said 8.
8.
I'm right at there, 7.9.
I'm 7.5, so our average is 7.8.
And currently about 89% on the tomato meter.
It's really fun.
It
and
is.
you're going to have all these songs stuck in your head afterward. I'm just warning you now. Bye.